Hello, welcome to McBoss Capital channel. My name is Michael Chu. This is going to talk about the growth stocks list that I follow for the week ending December 6, 2024. Here we have this spreadsheet that kind of follow IBD signals here. So they're in confirmed uptrend. And they're still pretty much fully allocated between 80 and 100%. As you can see here, we track like how many stocks under accumulation versus distribution. And we started the week out pretty strong, but continuing from the last, week as well. But then it kind of slowed down a little bit by Thursday and Friday. Overall, there's a little bit more distribution than accumulation, but obviously the numbers are still pretty good, 200s versus also 200s on the downside. So it's quite a little bit, it's still pretty even. However, I think the selling has picked up in some ways. And we talked about that in the big market recap video. Please feel free to go watch that one. And we saw that the market breadth has weakened on the S&P side. So this could be the evidence behind that. On the industry groups, we're seeing the similar things happening. We're seeing more groups that are under distribution than accumulation. Again, overall, the numbers are still pretty good for the accumulation ones, but we just saw more groups being distributed right now. On the sector side, we see technology doing really well this week. We also mentioned that in the market recap video that especially the software group did really well. We also seeing retails, especially consumer discretionary is doing really well. So we'll follow some of those stocks in a second here. And then we see industrial, health, commodity, energy, and financials related kind of deteriorate quite a bit. So that's also something that's we're seeing here. Um, so this is a spreadsheet that we showcase every week that is proprietary that we follow in terms of what we follow in terms of the signals. So for example, we have the stock symbols here. This is ranked based on the percentage gain since October 9th. So it's a little bit close to 2 months now, and some of these stocks has really gone up quite significantly. Then we have the daily strength in terms of relative strength here, and the weekly relative strength based on a 3-month period. Then we have the highest date when it was the last time it hit a new high based on this time frame. Then we have whether it's confirmed uptrend or downtrend based on the 10 and 21-day moving average. Then we have the industry group and sector here. The first stock we're going to talk about is MRVL, at position at right now ranking 27. They believe, yeah, they reported this week. They did really well. So where are we in terms of the structure of the chart here? So we broke out right here. So that could be an entry point. Then it pulls back, as you see, it found support at the 21-day, which is very close to the 10-day moving average. And then around here, it tries to break out. The first time it didn't work, but the second time did work. And then it gaps out on the earnings right here on really high volume. Um, and then so whenever there's a gap up on earnings, the question is, what do you do? Do you buy or do you do you if you only do you sell? That's based on your own style and how you prefer it. For myself, if I don't own it, I don't usually buy, especially if it's out of a base that are base after it has come out of the base prior to that gap up. But if it was in the base, then I would consider it because it might, let's say, it gap up and it broke to new high. Then I may consider it because that's the first time it comes out versus it comes out for like depending on how long it comes out to, like if it's like 3 4 weeks, it could be later in the rally versus the first day out, like you still have potential to run for a while. So in that sense your risk to reward ratio is much better because there's more reward, whereas this one it already came out 85 to roughly 95, and then it gap up here. So now we are really extended now 85 to 120, right? The reward is already it's quite high now. That's already passed. the other thing is I look at the 10-day. So generally I look at the 10-day moving average for momentum stocks. And so in this example, after it gaps up, the 10-day moving average was sitting right here, right on that day. So now, because of the gap up, this 10-day moving average has to catch up. And you can see sometimes, it can continue, right, in some cases, and then it falls back. Um, but in most cases, they do eventually come back closer to the 10-day as it catches up. So I generally don't buy for that reason, because the reward risk ratio is pretty much, maybe flat, like 1-to-1 ratio, or even slightly less reward than risk, more risk. So I wait and see what it does as the 10-day moving comes up. And as it comes up here, it's either going to touch it, it's going to fall back to the 10-day and bounce. That is one potential. Or it just could go sideways as well, while the 10-day catch up as it gets closer and closer, and then it might bounce, even without touching the 10-day, or it might touch the 10-day and bounce. So those are things I look for, to potential enter a stock that is, in this case, like I said, it's quite extended from the original buy point, but that doesn't mean it won't go up further. But those are things I watch out for. The next stock we have here is AAL. It is ranked 34 and make a new high. Currently, it's in the transportation airline. So we have this huge breakout right here, and believe it's due to raise of guidance. And it's a pretty big gap up. Unless you got it in the morning, it's pretty extended by the time it closed. And right now, on Friday, it did make a new intraday high and then reverse. So right now we have the 10-day coming up, and it's quite far away from where it is right now. So I expect, probably some digestion here before it continues on. So we'll see how it reacts as the 10-day comes up. The next stocks I want to highlight is Lilly and Novartis. Lilly say their drug has performed really well, and so this stock moved on this week. And so let's take a look at this. It is ranked 168 right now, low on the ranking because it has corrected quite a bit. You can see this base here is 27% deep correction. Pretty painful, if for those who holding it. So right now you can see it has bounced back quite a bit. And you can see this uptrend right now looks pretty strong, 45-degree angle, and we did come up above the short-term moving average right here and here, and so now the 50-day is coming down, so that's the downtrend, that's the kind of longer term downtrend, and we see some resistance here, right there and right there, Wednesday and Friday. In both those days, it not only did hit resistance, it closed near the bottom of the range. The good thing about this chart so far, on Thursday we have a selling day here, like a down day, and the volume actually much lower. And that also, like, was the low of the 3 days here. You can see. So overall the technical picture looks healthy. It might digest here and try a couple, like right now it already tried 2 times. Maybe the third time is the charm. So, but I would watch this stock because it has climbed really fast. Almost half its losses. It has climbed back really fast. So wouldn't be surprised for this stock to continue to move. This is definitely a leader, but it has taken a break. So again, it's all about the obesity drugs that is most prevalent in terms of growth. So yeah, there is potential for this stock to come back up. I would watch it. So usually in this case, I would draw a trend line, and since it coincides, exactly with the 50-day red line moving average, I would just draw that there, set my alert here, and if that crosses it, and with high conviction and volume, there's a potential I might get into this. The other stock that is related is Novartis. You can see Lilly definitely has come up a lot versus Novartis, but they're very similar, right? They both went into this one kind of corrected a lot more than Lilly. I'm not sure exactly how many percent, but it's more severe. and right now it's bouncing. Similarly, you see the 50-day right here is coming down, so that's the longer term downtrend that we have to be aware of. And right now, it seems to want to come close to it, and it hasn't found, at least not yet. We haven't found any resistance yet. So if it does cross here on high volume with conviction, I think there's a chance this could work. Again, it has corrected for a long time and corrected quite deep. So the volume on the down days here looks very reasonable. Like it's actually subsiding a little bit here. So those are things I would watch. If this do break out from this trend line, again, I might add to it. Like I think I got in around here. So really haven't made much progress, but really, it had for it to make much progress, it has to break through this wall on this downtrend line. The next stock we want to talk about is CRDO Tech Group. They report earnings this week. You can see it really strong earnings forward guidance here. And if you go, and it has, broke out right here, and there's some volatility right here. And then able to come up and jump to really new high here. Let's just jump back to the spreadsheet for a second to see where it's ranked. It is ranked number 5 right here. And again, it made new high this week. This week on Internet Network Solutions here. Go to daily chart. Here you can see the first original base. It took a little bit of time to climb out, and then it kind of pulled back right here, went up higher, and then it pulled back once more. This is a pretty severe pullback, and then it comes back right here, to slowly coming back above the 10-day, the green line, and then the earnings gap out was significant. So yeah, unless there was a lot of time you could get in before that, but even then was a little bit challenging. Patience is the key here. It did once the gap up happened. Again, we watch where the 10-day moving average is, which is right here. So again, this one is similar to the one earlier we talked about, which is like quite extended from even before the earnings gap, right? So, but this one shows some resilience as it doesn't want to come down further, and it makes new high as well. So again, very explosive earnings growth right now on both recent earnings as well as forward guidance in the triple digit. So this stock is worth watching. But yeah, so far it hasn't really come back down. It doesn't want to. Very strong technical strength. This 10-day moving average is like at 60-degree angle or higher, which is quite a slope worth paying attention to. Next up, we want to talk about is ALAB number 8. This chip stock has been doing really well and is trying to come back up right now. You can see the earnings, very powerful. This is a pretty recent IPO in the last year. And you can see it, coming up. It's a very volatile stock, right? So that's not easy to trade. But anyhow, you look at the 50-day moving average, it's just shooting up like a rocket, like 55, 50-degree angle. Continue to make it. Look at this volume on the weekly chart here. It's just a lot of accumulation. So let's look at the daily chart. So again, you can see this movement. Rides the short-term moving average pretty well. Here's the 21-day support right here. Here between 10 and 21-day support bounce right here. Here's another one right there, 10-day support, 10-day support right here. I got back in, I got shaken out a little bit right here, and then back in, and then now it's continued its move. Look at this bounce right here. It just doesn't even want to come back to the 10-day moving average. And then it make new high again, closing high. Very powerful stock. Volumes on the sell side also much lower than on the buy side, so that's another good sign. Next stock we want to talk about is in the retail sector. Is Kawa. Kawa is ranked 177, so it's not. It has corrected. This is the weekly chart. Pretty stable earnings. So this stock is also pretty new IPO, within the last year and a bit, and it has climbed a lot after the initial big correction right here. So this kind of reminds me of ALAB a little bit. It climbed, and then we have some more severe correction right here. But look, notice the corrections are always really short, like 4 weeks, 5 weeks, and then it start bouncing again. So here we have this huge reversal on earnings, I believe. And then this is the pretty short pullback here. And then now it's trying to uh, as you can see on the weekly chart, it has a new weekly closing high. Not the ultimate high, but it is a new closing high. So let's look at the daily chart. Here's the high that we just saw on the weekly chart. It pulls back pretty hard on the reversal right here. So this would have taken a lot of people out depending where they buy. So this is another reason when you buy things extended, you risk this kind of move, right? Excuse me. Like let's say you buy it in the morning, and if you're lucky, you buy it in the morning, you'll be right here. But if you buy it like later in the day or wherever before the reversal happened, you could have lost quite a bit. And not only that, it went down another 3 days before it makes the ultimate low right here. Then it kind of didn't do much. It tried to move right here, and it didn't have much power come back down. Then right now it's trying to move again, and so far this move looks more um, sustainable. The volume here, look at the downside volume, really low. Like this is almost as low as quite a while ago. Like so that's a good sign. There's this 1 day of volume, but that one still managed to hold above the 10-day green line moving average. And then we start to see the movement here. And the good thing I like about Friday is that it did come back and test the lows again. But look at where it closed. Closed near the top. So this is a very healthy type of movement, and I like the volume coming in as well. So again, uh, we'll see if this 10-day will start to move. But here's the test here. The test here on Thursday low versus Friday lows. So you can see it tests almost twice here, and then before it make this like powerful move throughout the rest of the day. So I really like where it is right now. So I have taken a position pretty recently here on Thursday, um, and let's see how this goes. Next stock I want to talk about is ATAT, ranked 236. So it doesn't rank very high just because of recent performance. This is a Chinese leisure, I believe in like hotels and stuff. Um, so the earnings are really explosive right now. You can see triple digit growth right here from the year before. Then we have the chart itself is not the best chart. You can see it is very volatile week to week. But we did see this huge move right here on this breakout. And right now, this pattern looks very promising just because it hasn't want to come down much. No, it doesn't mean it might not go down. It just means right now it looks okay. Yeah, because this is Chinese stock. It's more volatile usually, and but it looks pretty good right now. And a lot of Chinese stocks, you can go study them. Have started to bounce recently in recent weeks. Like so let's jump to the daily chart right here. So the 50-day is the red line right here, 50-day. So it's on an uptrend. However, as we said, this is been gyrating around this area here, building a base, and so it formed this bottom right here. And then since then, it has come back up. After making this low here, it has come back up, and again, very volatile. You can see every day the swing is pretty substantial. And because this is also a $20 like range stock, it could move, in percentage form quite a bit. So let's see how this trade, like there's no guarantee that this will work, but I like where it's heading right now. There is, a bit of a downtrend line on the highs here. So right here we can see it tested twice now. So it's very important that it can surpass this, and I think that will maybe mean a better potential there. The next stock we want to look at is from the industrial sector, CLS, ranked number 18. As you can see, make new relative strength high both on the daily and the weekly. 65% performance since October 9th. Make a new high on Friday as well in the uptrend. Let's take a quick look. Here's the weekly chart. Pretty stable earnings growth. Look at this earnings line. This is incredible earnings line right here on the green line right here. Then we have this recent base. It came out right here after a small pullback right here on the handle, and then it kind of came out pretty strong. And now we are continue to move higher on the weekly chart. So as you can see, the red line here, which is the 10-week moving average, is a pretty steep slope. It's at almost 45-degree angle. Let's jump to the daily chart. Here's the breakout right here. My first position was right here on the earnings, and then as you can see, it keep climbing right here. Have a slight pullback to the 10-day moving average, found support and reversed that day, and then make a new high right here. Then it reverse again. This time it comes back to closer to the pink line, which is the 21-day moving average, and then after that it slowly move. And then right here we have this day right here. That's another day I have to buy some position back right there, and now we are at new highs. Yeah, this stock has consistently performed pretty good. Next stock we want to look at is rank 95 VRT water. This is in the electrical power equipment group. Earnings are pretty stable as you can see here going forward. We break out from this nice base in the weekly chart, and we kind of have this little pullback right here, and then it took towards the new high, and then we have another pullback right here. So let's go look at the daily chart. So here we have the early entry from a trend line. We have a traditional buy point around here. Then it moves up, have the first pullback, went up higher, pullback in, then went up higher, and then we have this last pullback right here. So right here we test the low on this day, and then it slowly moves back up. Now we're above the 10-day again. So as you can see, I've added back some position right here. Let's see if it can continue. On Friday's move looks okay. There's not much volume coming in to sell on that day, as it is a down day. The next stock we want to look at is in the financial sector. Before I talk about that stock, we are seeing lots of downtrends in this leaders here, which is kind of interesting, right? And from the market recap video, we see financials have pulled back, and so we are seeing in some of these growth stocks here. So just be aware that this is happening. The stock that we're gonna look at right now is ranked number 6, iron. It has made new high on the relative strength, new high price, and it's in the financial service specialty area. So here it deals with Bitcoin mining. So that's probably why it has some from Australia. So this stock is kind of lower price right now in the $15 area. Small cap 2.8 billion. It does show improvement in their earnings, so that's something that is quite interesting. And you can see their revenue also growing pretty fast. Now this stock very volatile. It's quite volatile as you can see from week to week. It's just amazing how much it moves, and then on those pullbacks are very significant, right? So I just want to caution that. So but right now, it is coming out. Well, with Bitcoin hitting 100K recently, I think that's part of the reason. It's not the strongest stock in the group. There's other stocks, but so let's look at the daily chart. So this is probably the closest downtrend line right here. This huge move from the earnings was pretty big, and then it followed through the next day right there. And then look at this nice pullback right here to the 10-day moving average. Now it is starting to curve up, and again, that's like a parabolic move. So it looks basically that what I'm trying to say is it is extended right now because of that extension from the 10-day. So I wouldn't chase it right now, just because it has already moved like in 4 days. It have moved quite significant from a percentage standpoint. Right now it's definitely trying to clear this 15-ish level. But I think it might, let's see how it reacts as the 10-day comes back up, whether it will digest just on the towards the side, just like right here. If that's the case, that will be really good, and that might give you a really good opportunity to buy on those sideways movement as it comes out. The next stock we want to talk about is SITM, rank 48, with new relative strength high, making new highs as well in the chip area. So here's the earnings. It really did try to turn around right now. You can see the earnings line starting to come up. Broke out from this long-term correction and then form another base right here. and then it slowly right the 50-day. This is the last pullback right here, and then a higher pullback right here. Let's look at the daily chart. So here's the cup with handle buy point, moves up a little bit and then pull back down, and then we have this gap up on earnings, and then this is again buying on gap up. You can see this is another risk right here because it is so extended from the original base. So I mean, you know, it happens sometimes and it doesn't. So in this case, you can see it fell all the way back to the 10-day and even below it. And then it finally found support at 21-day, and then it started to rise again, and then fall back to 21-day. And so far, it hasn't come back to 21-day. It just finds support at the 10-day right here on the green line, and then on Friday make a new high. So looking pretty strong right now. The volume definitely is much higher on the buying than the selling. Next stock that we see strength this week is rank 89 TKO. This has made a new high on Friday and from the media diversified group. So we can see again, this is another turnaround stock. You can see the earnings are improving quite significantly. The earnings line is going up, and then here's the chart. This is a really deep base here on the weekly chart, and it slowly climb. You know, it's not the fastest stock, but it has moved gradually, and then recently it has really accelerated. You can see right here, probably due to earnings. What's impressive here is look at the most recent weekly volume is so high. So on the daily chart, you can see it just, you know, it's not a fast mover, but right now after this pullback, which is, you know, yeah, there's must be some news here. I'm not sure what exactly it is, but then it didn't move on earnings, so then eventually it start to move. You can see how the volume has dried up right here, and then the movement start to happen since there's not much one to sell. And then right here we find a 10-day support, which is really good. You can see right here the bounce is strong. So definitely some signs of accumulation as I mentioned on the week. Next stock we want to look at is Miniso, ranked number 23, Chinese retail discount store. Um, you can see the earnings are pretty stable over the long term, and we have this massive run here. Then we went into this downtrend, quite a long downtrend, and then finally we broke out of this long downtrend this week on probably on the high earnings. Let me double check that on the daily chart here. So here's the gap up day right here, breaks out. So in this case, you know, talking about gap up on earnings, this is still reasonable within the base as it breaks out, and you know, it's not a it is a gap up, but it's not like a long range, you know. So I mean, it depends, right? It is a $20 stock, so it can, you know, even a $1 move is significant. So it's, you know, so right here is the 10-day moving average on that gap out day, and then obviously we saw the next day it moves higher, so that's the long range day. You can see that, and then it starts to pull back right here, and once this pullback happened, that day the 10 days probably around that right there, and then from here it didn't make a new low no more. It went a little bit higher. Okay, so that's really good, and so far the 10 days catching up pretty fast, and it looks like it's digesting around this range right here. So this is really good signs right here. So I mean the 10 days still got to catch up, but you know, as it come closer, it might move again. So but yeah, this you know, again, some Chinese stocks are showing lots of good signs. So let's see how that goes. The next stock is Square or Block. Rank number 37 is still in an uptrend in the payment area. So here's earnings. Looks pretty stable going forward. This is a really nice breakout from a cup with handle pattern. Look at how strong this move is. I mean, if you draw the channel line, this is probably close to a 65-degree, 60-degree angle, which is very steep. Look at the daily right here. This is the breakout. Has a huge pullback as it fell on this breakout, and then the earnings came in and it gap up. That's where my first buy is. So again, this gap up right here, gap up pretty nice. Slowly, wasn't like, you know, a huge gap from the, you know, early day morning. So it gives you some time to buy into it. As it moves up, this next day see the follow through there, and then and then the next day make an intraday high before pulling back, and then it found support right here on the bottom on the 10-day, and then it moves up higher, and then right here we see a few days of support right here. Again around the 10-day, and then you can see it bounce right here, and then found support again on the 10-day, and then here we are near new highs. So far the stock has been acting pretty well. The next stock we want to talk about is RVLB, ranked 28 with over 50% performance in the retail apparel shoes area. And you can see the earnings here are quite good again, and this one's turnaround story, and the earnings are starting to climb again. Here's the original breakout. It took a while to actually make some progress, and so you can see all these weeks here is just kind of not making much progress until this next earnings came out. So on the daily chart, here's the breakout right here, and you can see this constant pullbacks here. So it wasn't easy to hold, and this was around 20 something dollars at that time. So the percentage movement is quite big. Then we have this earnings gap up, and on that gap up right here, again, this is obviously extended in that sense because it's not from the original base. It has already moved a little bit. So here's the pullback. So that could be right here was the day that it bounced and it didn't want to touch the green line. Could have been an entry point right there. Here's another pullback right here, and then we have a reversal. And then a follow through the next day, so that could be another entry point here. So I obviously missed this stock, and then it went to this high right here. This current pullback right now looks pretty good because it has followed through 2 days in a row, and volume did come in, so that's a pretty good sign. Also, we have one down volume here that's pretty low, so that's also another good sign. So yeah, it has potential to go higher. The next stock is USFD, ranked 145 in the wholesale food area. Earnings continue to grow, as you can see, very stable. This is the original breakout, and then it has a slight pullback here, went sideways here, formed another, almost look like a flat base, and then here's the earnings gap, earnings movement here, and then since that time, it's continued to climb new high at a pretty fast pace. So this is the daily chart right here. Here's the earnings gap. So the gap here, as you can see, it's happening after the original breakout. And then it followed through for a couple more days here, and then it pulls back, and then this is the bounce right here, and then the follow through on the bounce. And so that gives you an opportunity to get into this stock. And then look at this pullback. Wow, look at the volume right here. There's just no one wants to sell. That's a really tight action. And then look at the bounce with higher volume. So this stock looks like it has quite a bit of energy still. Next stock is MTSI in the semiconductor manufacturing. It's RAN 106. Here's the earnings forecast. Very strong growth going forward. And you can see the earnings line, which this green line right here, is starting to move up after sometimes going down right here. So we break out from this base right here, and then we have a slight pullback, and then we have this huge move on the earnings, and then it pulled back from that earnings again. There's lots of risk when buying on a gap up on earnings. Let's take a look at this chart right here. Here's the breakout right here with the gap up on earnings. So as soon as it gap up, even though it closed on the day, so because this gap up moves significantly, um, you can see it pulled back so strong towards even below the 21-day. And so that's the kind of risk you get when you buy on gap ups. So again, depending where it gap up, because this one already broken from the original buy point just a little bit, not that much. So on that gap up, it's definitely this someone might buy into that. And again, if you buy it early, maybe in the day, it might be okay. So this pullback is significant enough to probably shake out a lot of people. Then it start to climb, and as you can see, it pulled back on towards the 10-day, and then it bounced and fall through right here. That's the day I bought. And so far, this pullback again looks reasonable. Look at the volume on the sell day, much lower than the previous 2 days or 3 days. So far it's holding okay. And let's see. Next, we're going to talk about LRN. ranked number 15, is the number one in the consumer service retail sector. Looking at the future earnings growth, looks pretty stable. This earnings line has been going up very steadily, and the stock has also gone up very steadily. You can see from that slope right there. The most recent correction right here happened really fast, and then huge week up, and then look at that week up after that. Every week has been pretty much going up, and the angle of this channel line is pretty steep, as you can see from there. Here on the daily chart, we saw that big gap up right here. So again, on gap up earnings, you could buy on the first day, especially coming out of a base if it's not too extended. There's less risk in that sense. It fall through the next day. I missed the first day and I bought it the second day on the fall through. Look at this pullback right here, very tight. Look at this pullback tight. Look at this pullback very tight. Keep going climbing. Look at this pullback really tight. And then now we're seeing it again. Look at how tight this is happening. And the volume keeps subsiding on those pullbacks. Very strong stock. Next stock we want to talk about is in the health sector. Before we talk about core, what we're seeing here is a lot of downtrend. A lot of the leaders have fallen back. Court here is still in an uptrend, ranked number 86. Let's go down here. We can see the earnings are pretty stable going forward. The earnings line is also going up right here, and this stock has broken out from this really big correction here, and then it formed a base and a base here before it finally took off, and then it finally pulled back, and then it took up again. So let's take a look at daily. So here's the original long-term base based on base pattern, and then it finally moved, and then look how tight it's trading and moves up higher. And then we have this earnings movement here that brought it down all the way to the 50-day, and then it reversed intraday to close at a higher high than previous day. That's a very impressive move. And then it continues on that, and then it pulled back here after pretty good gain, and then now it's starting to move again. So the next stock we want to look at is rank number 19, TWLO. You can see it had new relative strength high on Friday, closed at also new high on Friday in the software enterprise. Again, one of the hardest group right now. Let's go to daily chart first. So the weekly chart here, and we can see the future earnings are pretty stable. The earnings line looks pretty good. So here's the cup with handle pattern right here. It gap up on earnings, and then it has been climbing pretty much every week. So on the daily chart, you can see this is one of the biggest, longest cup I've ever seen. It has consolidated for a long, long time. And then we have this gap up here. It followed through the next day, which that was when I had my first position. As it climbed, it was a really strong climb even at the beginning. And then it pulls back right here to the 10-day moving averages. And then from the 10-day, it bounced again right there. And then it pulls back, and this time it didn't touch the 10-day, and it just bounced from here. And then now we at new highs again. So overall, I think the market is still pretty healthy, at least from some of the growth stocks perspective. So we'll just go through the stocks, by group here, by sector. And first we'll look at technologies, and we'll just mention it. I'm not going to go through the chart. Feel free to do that. APP is still one of the hottest stock right now, doing really well. RDDT Reddit is also doing really well. We mentioned CRDO. We have ALAB. We also mentioned that. Palantir doing really well. TWLO I just mentioned. We have AVPT, SMTC, ML. We have Shopify. We have KD, MGNI, Fresh, Globe. Rambus, Q2, Hubs, we mentioned SITM, Wix, RNG, Spotify doing really well, CVLT, WK, Duolingo also doing really well, YMM, DB, Previa, SC, and then ALKT now doing really well too, as CLBT, MTSI, and so forth. So feel free to go through the rest on your own time. Next we have retail. We mentioned LRN, Tizu, UTI here, Polo, MNSO, RVL we mentioned, Dark, AAL, we also mentioned that, Netflix. So some of these are on downtrend right now. We have RCL, we mentioned that, SPOF, CVNA, SHAP, Delta, ATGE, ALK, Prim, EXPE, DKing, DKO, we mentioned that, SkyWest, a downtrend. So some of these are starting to go on a downtrend. Amazon, CMG, USFD, we mentioned that, Kawa, we mentioned that. And then we also mentioned ATAT here, Glow here. Then we into the industrial areas here. So this one you can see there's about half of the stocks here that are kind of either in downtrend or has pulled back. The ones that are still uptrend, XMTR, DSP, we have CLS, we mentioned that Exxon, really strong Exxon, doing really well. VST, FIX, we have DRS, AZAP, we mentioned Vortev, TDD also doing well. There are also some of these other ones here too. So feel free to look at the rest. Then we have HELP. So HELP, as I mentioned earlier, there's lots of downtrend, so not doing too well right now, but feel free to look at the list here. Next we have energy commodities. There's so many stocks in downtrend right now, which is not really good. CCJ is one that is kind of in an uptrend. AGI, NOAA still in uptrend. Bloom Energy still in an uptrend, but overall this is a very weak sector right now. And then financial, again, we mentioned also lots of downtrend stocks right now, not doing so well. So yeah, we're gonna be cautious here as the financial sector has started to pull back this week. And CISO, which is the number one, pretty much near the top, is also pulling back as well. So thank you for watching this video. I hope you like and subscribe.